9 de Julio Athletic Club, 9 de Julio, State of Buenos Aires, Republic of Argentina. Murad Muhammad's M&M Sports, in association with Arano Box Productions, President Mario Arano, along with matchmakers Kareem Ali and Samson Lukowitz, present our featured bout of the evening. Sanctioned by the Municipal Commission of Boxing President Ezequiel Bernardi. Positions at ringside, Dr. Horacio Baglietto and Dr. Juan Carlos Ruiz. The timekeeper of the bell, Oscar Roca. The 3 judges scoring this bout on a 10-point must system will be Raul Herrero, Vicente Fernandez, and Hector Miguel. After the bell rings, your referee in charge of the action, Rodolfo Stella. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our main event of the evening, 10 rounds of boxing in the featherweight division. Introducing first in the red corner, wearing white, weighing 125 pounds. His professional record, 18 victories, 10 coming by way of knockout with 2 defeats. Ladies and gentlemen, de Tormero, Venezuela, presenting the Fedelatin Junior Featherweight Champion, Jose Luis Valbuena. His opponent in the blue corner, wearing green and white, weighs in at 125½ pounds. His professional record, 25 victories, 13 coming by way of knockout, with 2 defeats and 1 draw. Ladies and gentlemen, de Mendoza, Argentina, presenting the South American featherweight champion, Pablo.
For Valbuena, who is coming in off a loss but a very good performance against Marcos Antonio Barrera, where he failed to lift the WBO title from Barrera, are there some dangers, maybe some concerns about having a letdown?
Well, the great actor Richard Burton once said, "You're only as good as your last movie." In boxing, that seems to be the same thing. As great as he was in this fight against Barrera, he has to have the same type of performance here in order to keep moving up the ladder and to be considered a legitimate contender for their title and show that that was not just a fluke night.
We'll see if Valbuena's role is as good as one of those ones that Richard Burton had. We will go now to Argentina for our main event. So we kick off round number 1 in this matchup between the lefty Jose Pablo Estrella and Juan Luis Valbuena. Actually a battle of left-handers. Valbuena coming in here off that tough loss to Marcos Antonio Barrera. It was a unanimous loss, but he gave a very, very strong performance in that fight. And he pressures Estrella. Valbuena with that long jab, reaching out there. Good straight left hand. Ahead of Valbuena.
You know, what you have in this fight here is 2 guys that nobody likes to fight. 2 southpaws.
Yeah.
And so you know that the other knows what the main weakness is in fighting these guys are straight right hands. But when you look and you see the fact that the Valbuena is such a good jabber, it makes it difficult for Estrella to land that punch. You may get lucky with it once in a while, but when you have a good southpaw who's a good jab at the same time, you're going to have difficulty.
Estrella, the shorter of the two fighters, trying to work his way in, and there he does with an uppercut. Valbuena trying to keep him at bay. Jose Estrella, who is a 28-year-old. Got 13 KOs in his wins, so he's got some pop. Comes in off a first-round knockout win over Miguel Alvarado, and before that a win over Carlos Rios, and that really was a good win. Rios 3 times has fought for the world title.
And a good fighter.
Very good fighter.
Very good fighter.
So that speaks well of Estrella. Valbuena misses with the straight left hand.
Right away you notice that Estrella tries to get under the punches. He's low and he has great balance. There you see. Gets under the punches and then slings it out there and tries to land it.
That'll do it for round 1. A round in which Estrella really pursued Valbuena, and as you said, from time to time was able to get inside that jab.
Most effective when he gets underneath it and throws a shot to the body, and I think that's what he's going to have to concentrate. There he's shooting for the head, but if he gets underneath that and throws his punch to the body, he could be effective.
We are in round 2, and in the dark trunks, Jose Luis Valbuena, and Jose Pablo Estrella is in the green and the white. A couple of featherweights looking to land title shots, although Valbuena just had one against Marcos Antonio Barrera, the WBO champ, and very nearly made the most of it. Lost a unanimous decision, but fought extremely well, and perhaps showed that he's going to be a very tough guy for any featherweight to beat. But Estrella trying to do it right now, landing a good left hand.
Well, I think he realizes that this guy, he's not a big puncher, and had he had the big punch against Barrera, maybe he had even a better chance even then. Estrella realizes that, and he says, I'm going to go out and give it my best, and he's throwing caution to the wind. Every time he gets close, he's throwing a punch.
Estrella had a 6-fight win streak coming into this bout.
There he is again.
He is pursuing Valbuena.
His chances are, if I can just get under the punch, get close enough and let me throw it, mainly because if you'll see that Valbuena's head is straight up in the air. There it is, it's straight in the air. So if he can throw that punch, if he's close enough, chances are he can land it.
We're in round 2. It is scheduled for 10. This is our main event from Argentina. Al Bernstein along with Roy Foreman. Happy you joined us for this special edition of Real Fights brought to you by M&M Sports. And it's a real fight to Jose Pablo Estrella. He is making this fight. He is coming to Valbuena and really trying to set the pace here.
Short guys have to be known for something, and it looks like Estrella is trying his best to make note that if I can just press this fight early and make it look like I'm aggressive, maybe if it goes to decision, maybe the judges thinks that I won just by being that way.
Well, and Valbuena isn't counterpunching that effectively, so neither man has really landed and been extremely accurate with their punches.
One thing I have noticed that both guys have been clean early in the fight.
That's for sure. Well, round 2 will pass into the night. We'll see what round 3 has to offer. We head into the 3rd round of this featherweight matchup between Jose Luis Valbuena and Jose Pablo Estrella. Valbuena in the black trunks, a man who just fought Marco Antonio Barrera some months ago and lost a decision in trying to lift the WBO title from Barrera. And Estrella, who comes in here on a 6-fight win streak, and among those wins, a very impressive 10-round win over Carlos Rios. So these are two featherweights who very much believe that they have a chance to move ahead in the title picture. And of course, Valbuena rated number 14th by the WBO. I don't think he's number 14th featherweight, though. He's a little better than that.
A little better. If any performance like this, he's definitely a little better than that.
But Estrella, so far, Roy, I think is setting the pace of this fight. And Valbuena is having a hard time, in my opinion, really landing the counter shots he needs to land.
Well, what tends to happen is that when you get a fight like you did against Barrera, and you go out and you put forth your best effort and you still don't win, the next time into the ring, you have you have a little doubt about, what did I do wrong? And you tend to think too much.
Could be a letdown, too. All of a sudden, you're in against an opponent that is not only totally different from Marco Antonio Barrera, you're facing another lefty. You're facing a guy who presents a whole different challenge, and there could be a letdown. But for Estrella, no letdown, because to him, this fight is really vital.
There's a sweepstakes that's going on. Everybody, and at the end of that thing is Nassim Hamed, and that's what right now. Each time when these guys go into the ring, they have to be thinking that.
He is the big ticket item in the featherweight or junior featherweight division, mostly featherweight. These are two of the many men who dream about fighting him. Good right hand by Estrella. He is really taking the fight to Valbuena. And the referee is going to take a point away from Valbuena, I believe, for hitting in the kidneys.
In the kidneys. That's something you don't see too much. Not in the States.
Very active referee this evening in Argentina. On all fronts. Good right hand by Estrella. So now, Jose Estrella is in a position where he could have a 2-point round easily here.
And you notice that when he gets inside here, and I'm not sure if it's because of the Barrera fight, but for some reason, Valbuena just will not dip down and throw punches. He stands straight up, and he's not going to be effective against a little guy like this.
So here in round 3, a point deduction makes the plot thicken. And we see some of the aggressive action by Estrella. He continues to set the pace here.
And he's smart. Only when he gets close enough, Al, will he throw punches. He will not stand from a distance. Only when he gets close. And that's been very effective for him now.
Eliminating, to some degree, the idea of him getting countered.
Nothing worse than being at the end of a long-arm guy.
We move into round 4 of our main event, 10-round featherweight battle between Jose Luis Valbuena in the black and Jose Pablo Estrella in the white and green. Estrella is 25-2-1 with 13 KOs, and Valbuena 18-2-1. He's got 10 KOs. There goes Estrella down from not a knockdown but a push. In round 3, a reminder that there was a point deducted from Valbuena for hitting the kidney areas, which could easily have and probably did create a 10-8 round for Estrella.
Now all of a sudden you're starting to see a little bit more muscling going around between the fighters now.
The referee, is he going to take another point away?
Looks like
from
the
Valbuena?
doctor's being called in.
Looking at a cut over the eye of Valbuena, which was there but has just gotten worse. Well, that's on the scalp area, which normally wouldn't stop a fight. But there's a lot of blood flowing there, probably from a clash of heads. And they continue. So it's getting to be a rough outing here for Jose Luis Valbuena, who, based upon his performance against Marcos Antonio Barrera probably came into this fight as a slight favorite.
But you're only as good as your last fight sometimes.
Boy, that's true. And Estrella just landing a good straight left hand, and so Valbuena having a very tough outing. He has not gotten untracked yet in this match.
He seems to be really rushing his punches when he does throw them. He throws the jab out there, but then without waiting, he comes right back with the right hand, with the left hand rather, and that just shows you there's some hurriedness in what he's doing now. Maybe he's realizing, or his corner is telling him, you're behind. So now he has to rush,
trying to make something happen. And, a warning to Estrella for holding by the referee. Also a warning to Valbuena for pushing down on the head.
What he's saying is, I've got to do something to stop this bull from coming in here. I don't have a cape to avoid, so, you know, I have to.
Right country for the bullfighting analogy, too. So here in the fourth round, it has been more of same, with Estrella pushing ahead and being aggressive against Valbuena, and Jose Luis has just not been able to get untracked offensively. Although neither man has been extremely accurate with their punches. So that'll do it for round 4. We move into the 5th round of our main event, 10-round featherweight matchup. Jose Luis Valbuena in the black, Jose Pablo Estrella in the white and green. And the 28-year-old Estrella has really made this fight, but now he gets nailed with a good counter right hand by Valbuena.
I think that Valbuena's corner told him, you know, you're perhaps 4 rounds behind in this fight, and no telling how many punches. You've got to get out and do something. But now you're starting to see it's getting to be a more physical fight than it was in the first 3 or 4 rounds.
Valbuena getting in with the straight left. He has not been able to land that punch very effectively. Valbuena not a big puncher, 10 knockouts in his 18 wins, and then Estrella with 13 knockouts and 25, so he too is not considered a major puncher.
But you know, the durability of fighters down in Argentina it affects a lot of guys. You can go down and you fight 10 hard rounds with those guys, and you may go out into the States or somewhere else and knock guys out, and that's because they're not conditioned to take the punches that way for some reason.
Now Valbuena starting to land some good counter punches, and I think affecting Estrella with his power a little bit. But you're right about the Argentine fighters. Who is ever more durable than Juan Roldan?
Oh, yes.
Middleweight who fought all the best during the Hagler era, and he was just a tank.
A very memorable fight. One of the fights that perhaps one of the hardest of Hagler's career.
Yeah, Juan Roldan was a tough guy to fight, and Hagler said many times after that it was one of his most difficult fights. We're in round 5. It is scheduled for 10. Uppercut by Valbuena. That's a punch he would dearly like to land, but it hasn't materialized the way he would like.
The punches you're seeing now, what Estrella is doing, something he didn't do in the first round. See how he's reaching out now and throwing his punches, whereas before he was inside. Now he's throwing them from a distance, and that's a disadvantage for him.
Allowing Valbuena to counter him a little bit better. Also kind of lunging in a little bit more. Neither man has been extraordinarily accurate with their punches during the course of this fight. We'll wind down here on round 5, around which Valbuena found the mark a little more with some of those power punches. little better round 5 for Valbuena, and you see evidence of that there as he lands the jab and the straight left hand.
And now you'll notice that he gets a little bit more room, and as soon as Estrella, as you say, he's lunging in now, but just giving him a couple of inches, he's able to land those punches from the outside, and that's what tends to soften the guy up. There it is there. Cumulative punches can soften you up.
That straight left hand may be the best punch of the fight for Valbuena. We move into the 6th round of this scheduled 10-rounder with Jose Luis Valbuena in the black trunks and Jose Pablo Estrella in the white and green doing battle in this featherweight encounter. Valbuena had a little bit of a breakthrough in the last round in which he really started to land some of his punches.
Now Australia saying, I'm not going to give you that room again. I got to stay back and stay inside on you. But when he's outside, he's wide open, as you stated, for a counter puncher all night long.
Valbuena is a 29-year-old. Australia is 28.
Alto, alto, stop. Poner la mano adelante, pegar no, basta, se terminó, Vamos.
Another warning to Valbuena. Both these men at an age where they need to make something happen. Valbuena got his title shot against Marcos Antonio Barrera toward the end of 2000. It didn't work out for him, even though he performed well. And Estrella has yet to have his one shot. His big victory over Carlos Rios was an important one. Good left hand by Estrella. He now is wearing Valbuena down a little bit in this round.
Well, Estrella is acting like, I want to fight for the championship. And he realizes that this guy is coming off a great performance, and if he wants to be considered in the same category as him, there was no choice but for him to go out and put on this type of show.
He's been aggressive and has been somewhat effective, though neither man has been as accurate as they would like with their punches.
Stop. Alto. De balón. Vamos. Box.
Round 6 is scheduled 10-rounder. Valbuena is 12-1-1 in his last 13 fights, except for that loss to Barrera and a draw to Carlos Barreto, which came back in 1998. He's been flawless in the last several years.
And you'll see that Valbuena is back to doing what he was doing in the first few of the rounds. He's leaning back with his head straight up. You can't throw a punch off of that.
So round number 6, again a little better for Estrella. We head into the 7th round in his scheduled 10-rounder featherweight encounter. Our main event from Argentina, from 9 de Julio, Argentina, with Jose Luis Valbuena in the black trunks against Jose Pablo Estrella. It has been a fight in which Estrella's pressure has been the dominant force, and now both men pick up the pace. Good right hook by Estrella, but here comes Valbuena. So it hit another gear here in the 7th round, didn't it?
Well, these are what you call the championship rounds now. If you want to fight, you've got to dig down and get it. And once you've been to the mountaintop, Al, you want to get back up there. And if you want to get to the mountain, you've got to struggle and keep clawing to get up there. And that's what we have. Both of these guys on opposite sides. One's been there and the other wants to get there.
And for Estrella, he is continuing to be aggressive, but occasionally walking into some big shots by Valbuena. Valbuena now going down to the body. That's the best body work he's done in the course of this fight. Right hook by Estrella gets there.
Valbuena seems to be a little tired. Well, I guess I would be too by this time too, but he looks to be a little bit more tired than Estrella.
Well, Estrella's been pressuring him. There's the body work by Estrella, which he has not done as much of on the inside as you might think he would.
Surprising, a shorter guy against a taller man.
And he's been in position to do that on a few occasions. Round 7, it is scheduled for 10.
What he's doing now is when he gets inside, I see if he's not punching, he tries to take his break by walking around the guy with the referee. See, there he is now. He grabs hold on to him. Let me take a break.
Well, Estrella just won't throw that right hook to the body. He's thrown it to the head on the inside. Nice right hook gets to the head by Estrella, but I think he would work the body a little bit more.
He takes his break when he gets inside now. He says, I'll fight inside and I'll take a break as soon as I get close enough to hold you. And that's exactly, there it is again. That lets you know, but I guess at this pace that they've kept for the last 2 rounds, you kind of have to expect that.
A slip by Estrella. And so in this round, we've probably seen more concerted action than in some of the others, but again, both men still not as accurate as they would like with their punches, but both men doing a lot more body work. That'll do it for round number 7 as Estrella heads back to his corner, as does Valbuena.
Now, you're starting to see what happens. The end of the punches, end of his arms, rather, he's effective. Estrella steps inside, lands, both guys lands punches here, but now that's what you do. You get close enough, if you can't stop the guy, you hold him.
So we're getting ready to start round number 8.
Segundo afuera. Fuera. Vamos.
We're ready to move into the 8th round of this scheduled 10-rounder.
Ahí parado.
The cornermen very slow in getting out. Well, this fight's over. Estrella has decided that he cannot continue, and the corner threw in the towel. Why? Apparently a hand problem for Estrella, and it was his left hand that was impaired, and he has decided that I can't continue.
But one thing about it, he hurt his hand fighting, and he did a lot of that.
He did do that, and a tough break for Estrella, because you can argue the case strongly that he was ahead in this fight.
Mm-hmm. No doubt, I would have liked to seen the judges' scorecards.
But it is to no avail, because Estrella ends up losing this match, and Valbuena gets the win.
A lot of times that happens, you feel that sometimes the fighter hand, he does tend to be because of bad rap jobs.
The fight, your winner by TKO, Jose Luis Valbuena.
Valbuena gets the win, and for him, it is his 19th as a pro. So a strange ending to that fight, in which Estrella, we thought maybe had a hand problem, but in reality it was his corner that threw in the towel, and apparently they, or Estrella, just didn't want to go on. Very strange stoppage on Estrella's part in a fight in which you could easily make the case he was winning.
Here was a guy that was putting on an amazing performance against a guy that everyone thought would go out and dominate him. He quit.
Yeah, that's always inexplicable, and it is in this case as well. Well, overall in the evening, we saw perhaps the emergence of a cruiserweight champion from the past, and we saw a youngster in Herrera who shows some promise.
Real fights.
Most of them were, that's right. You can't say it any better than that. Well, for Roy Foreman, I'm Al Bernstein, and we are happy you joined us for this edition of Real Fights. We'll see you next time.